So
You take this, yes?
I wanted to give you an update on the crypto class action, which I last presented at in Krakow 4 years ago, and been working on it since. About 2.25 years ago, I actually filed proceedings against Facebook and Google and to explain that Facebook and Google and Twitter and others banned cryptocurrency advertising starting in early 2018. And I've shown statistically that actually caused the crypto winter, caused massive drops in the market of about $500 billion. And I'm suing them for breach of Australian competition law because what they did was a cartel and it was also anti-competitive. And I'm suing in a global class action on behalf of everyone in the crypto industry in the Federal Court of Australia. I put together a litigation funding company to sign people up to this class action. I signed up about 650 people with, I think, $1 billion worth of claim. 2.25 years ago, the stars aligned with COVID, as you would believe it. The one positive thing to come out of COVID is the Australian courts moved on to Microsoft Teams, so I was able to represent myself in court in Australia in my pajamas at the bottom and in my suit and tie at the top. And appear in federal court, and which I've done maybe 5 or 6 times, maybe 7 times over the last 2.5 years. I filed proceedings. It took some time I had one judge who was very skeptical and, threw every possible objection at me. I was just by myself because I hadn't yet served Facebook and Google, but gradually he became convinced that it was serious as I inundated him with material and legal argument. And then when he realised it was serious, he realised that he wanted to run the case, but he was retiring, so he held on to the case for about 6 months and did nothing. And then a new judge got appointed, and things started moving more quickly with that judge. We had a hearing on the first important point, which was whether I had a prima facie case. That is basically the judge looking at the case on a first glance for the judge. I mean, there was quite a lot of 1,500 pages of evidence and 30 pages of submissions and lots of case law and things. But having an initial look at it and saying, yes, does this case seem to have legs? Is it on first face? That's the Latin, prima facie. On first face, does this case seem to be justifiable? And the judge found that I had a prima facie case. She also very usefully commented that it was of public interest. She exercised her discretion to say, yes, I have a prima facie case, I've met all the standards and it's a public interest. You can go ahead with the class action and you can serve Facebook and Google. So that judgment took about 7 months to come out. Maybe more, maybe it was 9 months. It was a very long time because there were other cases. Then you might know how Epic is suing Apple over the percentage fees in the App Store. Well, they're suing in America. They haven't done very well in America, but they've sued in Australia as well, thanks to Brian of London telling them that Australia was a good place to sue big companies for competition law breaches. And that case has actually been super helpful for my case because it's cleared, that case and others have cleared all the land, well, all of them, but all the ones that I know about, landmines have been cleared for me. And as of yesterday, Facebook appointed lawyers. Facebook and Google were served a few weeks ago. Google appointed lawyers last week. Facebook finally appointed their lawyers yesterday. And on Wednesday, I have my first hearing in the federal court, a case management hearing with Facebook and Google represented on the other side. The next step is moving forward with what I'm seeking is a brand new provision where it's called a no adverse costs order. In British and Australian law, if you lose, you have to pay the other side costs. And that's a very big disincentive for little old me to take on some companies with revenues of $250 billion, for whom cost is no issue. So there was a special provision for competition law written basically for me. I mean, it wasn't written for me, but it looks like it was written for me in a competition law case where the other side's much bigger than you and there's a broad public interest. You can get an order saying you never have to pay the other side's costs, which means I can run the case myself via Microsoft Teams and take on the biggest companies in the world. I know this sounds like crazy, what's he doing? But it's actually happening. So I've got to get this no adverse costs order, but the main test for that is that you've got a prima facie case and they're bigger than you. So that's already should be able to get that, and then it's moving forward with the case. As I mentioned previously, it's damages, but there's also, even before damages, prospects for getting orders to compensate, non-monetary orders like free advertising, an apology, these sorts of things. And I am interested if anyone, especially anyone who's been in the internet advertising space, has said, I'd really like this. This would really help the crypto industry get back being able to advertise and being able to express to broad markets. So I want to thank everyone on Hive who did sign up and all the people who've supported in all sorts of different ways. And you can, the @JPBLiberty account is keeping up with all the posts. It's been a long time coming, and hasn't got that much media coverage, although we did get a Daily Mail article, but this is going to be big. When the rest of the world realizes that Facebook and Google are up for an amount of damages that's potentially enough to sink Facebook, especially with all the other problems they've got, and that the crypto industry has the potential for everyone who was in the industry back then, and even now, to get a massive, what we're talking about is an immense transfer of wealth from Web 2 to Web 3. I mean, that's ultimately what it's about. On Hive, we're building the future. I'm comfortable about tearing down the edifice of the dystopian surveillance state that's been built by Facebook and Google. I'm comfortable at tearing that down because I know there's an alternative, and I can demonstrate to anyone that says, why are you tearing down? I like my Google Maps and stuff. That there's an alternative. This all can be done without the bad stuff. But that's what this case is about. So I just wanted you to know first that it's really moving forward, and thank you for support. And it'll still take quite a few more years, but I think we're going to see some real action happening in the next year or so.